Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney and welcome to PhoneDog Live. This is our weekly podcast. Actually, I finally figured out what to call it. I actually didn't figure it out. I just heard what somebody else called it. A vodcast, because it's like a podcast, but it's video. I was always calling it a visual podcast, but really, vodcast actually makes more sense. So, welcome to our vodcast. We finally have an official name, even though PhoneDog Live kind of sums everything up. Welcome. We are broadcasting live on Ustream, so if you're on Ustream, welcome. If you're on Facebook, if you're watching this on Facebook, I'll also be checking the comments there, so feel free to leave your thoughts on everything that we talk about. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, if you're watching the recording, thanks for watching. You guys on YouTube actually have an advantage because you don't have to watch the whole broadcast, so you can just check the description box and it'll have the timeline, and you can just skip to whichever topic you want to watch or you want to listen to. So we do have some pretty interesting topics. So many topics, so many things I wanted to talk about, but I kind of had to narrow it down. If you're on Ustream, you can see already the first topic, AT&T and T-Mobile. Lots of drama this week. It seemed like every day there was a new article or somebody saying something new about it or a new video or comment, and so a lot of stuff going on with that. We also have on our YouTube channel on PhoneDog.com, Aaron posted his myTouch 4G slide review. The phone isn't actually available yet. It comes out on the 27th, I believe, but we have our review up, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I also did my review of the Motorola Triumph, which is actually kind of gotten, I've had a lot of questions about it. It's a popular phone, I think. The first high-end phone coming to a prepaid carrier, at least a well-known prepaid carrier. So I thought, we would talk about that. And then, along with that, Nokia released their Q2 numbers, and they are horrendous. And then we got some interesting updates on the tablet market and the numbers and any market share and all that. And so I thought those would be kind of interesting. And then we have a couple of extras that we're going to talk about. But feel free to leave your comments on Ustream. I'll be reading them if you guys decide to stay on topic this week. I doubt it. And also on Facebook, and then of course on YouTube, I'll be checking the comments there. So let's get started with AT&T and T-Mobile. Sim, I see. I will make you a mod. There we go. We have some moderators on Ustream, so they'll be taking care of everything. Hopefully that worked. So first of all, AT&T and T-Mobile. So kind of what started it this week, everyone's kind of opposed to it. I personally am kind of taking, I guess, maybe the neutral stance. I guess it is kind of the neutral stance of, it's up to the government, and so you could fight it, but I mean, kind of just let the government decide. But Sprint has obviously been very against it from the beginning. The CEO, Dan Hesse, I'm going to say Hesse. He's been very vocal, very outspoken about his opposition to it. And he made some comments today. It wasn't in the setting, he wasn't really talking about the deal. He was more talking about, the future of Sprint and the 4G network and LTE and throttling data. But in the midst of that, he got asked, and he started talking about it, and he said that he's been doing all he can to ensure that the FCC and the Department of Justice make the right decision about the deal. Obviously, to him, the right decision would be to not approve it. He said that he thinks it will be the end of the wireless industry as we know it. He also said, and I thought this was interesting, once he started talking about 4G, he said, "I hope you like 4G because it could be the last generation of wireless network in the U.S." Those were his words. And so, which is interesting, and that's kind of an aspect that I had never really thought about. I think, obviously, if a company creates a monopoly, that's bad because it could drive up prices. That's really the biggest problem. And then there could be layoffs. A lot of people could lose their job. But I think the biggest thing is raising the prices. But I hadn't really thought about, in terms of mobile technology, how it could really affect the progress of mobile technology, because one of the reasons why the FCC and the Department of Justice is supposed to encourage competition is not just for the sake of the customer and getting good prices, but it's also in getting the best service, which includes advancements in technology. And so if you have one company that basically owns 50 to 60% of the market, then they might not have a reason to switch as quickly or to advance as quickly to the next technology because it's not like anyone else has a choice anyway. If we don't go to 5G, what are you going to do about it? You can't switch to anyone else. So I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. Now, granted, that's his point of view, and I don't necessarily agree. I don't think it would be quite as dramatic. But I have strong opinions about this. But I wanted to just kind of touch on some things, and then, it's interesting. Actually, I am going to just say how I feel about it. I was going to save it for the end, for the last part of this section, but I'm just going to say it. People in comments for articles, they've been really outspoken and just basically bashing the idea and fighting against it. There's websites everywhere, which is kind of weird. You would think, why don't we just create one website and everybody support that instead of like 5 different websites that are against the merger? I mean, are we trying to fight a cause, or are we just trying to make a website that gets a lot of views? I don't know. Anyway, so people are really outspoken against it. But it's funny because, I mean, kind of like what I said earlier, that in a lot of ways there's not really a whole lot that you can do about it. And in another way, there's no one to really say that it could, drive up the prices extremely high. Now, granted, it probably will. But I don't know. I'm a little torn on it because I'm kind of like, it's the government's job. I mean, if we fight against it, I mean, what good is it going to do? And then not only that, but I mean, and then they talk about greed and how that's all involved. But I mean, companies are going to do what they want to do, and they talk about these problems like greed and commercialism and corruption in business. They talk about it like they've never heard of it before. Like they've never heard of someone in the government or of companies being greedy and therefore trying to get ahead. I mean, it happens every day. There's always somebody somewhere that has bad motives, but no one ever says anything about that. But now all of a sudden we're fighting this. So anyway, that was my spiel. So that was what Dan Hess had to say about it. Senator Herb Kohl, you guys probably read about this too. Chairman of the U.S. Senate Antitrust Subcommittee. He actually wrote a letter to the FCC, kind of encouraging them to please block the merger. He said it would cause substantial harm to competition and consumers, and therefore it would be harmful to consumers and public interest. It would not be in public interest. So he's against it. AT&T responded, of course, and they said, we disagree. They also said that despite all of what everyone's saying about how everyone's against it, AT&T said that there are 26 governors, 76 Democratic members of Congress, 72 mayors, and unions that represent 20 million members that are in favor of the merger, and argue that it would be good for consumers, it would provide jobs, and it would help the economy. Now, if you think about 72 mayors, that's not really a lot, because how many cities are there in the U.S.? You think of 72, not really a high ratio there. 26 governors, all right, maybe about half the country, half of the state's governors agree with it, so maybe that's kind of making some leeway. And then unions that represent 20 million members, okay, so maybe they're making some leeway, but the numbers could be kind of misleading depending on if you actually put it into perspective. And then, so here's one guy that is in support of it, Senator Mike Lee. He made a statement, and this is what he said. He said, in my view, the merger has the potential to provide significant network efficiencies that may help alleviate capacity constraints, enable enhanced service quality, and facilitate expansion of a 4G LTE nationwide network. Which is kind of contrary to what Dan Hess said, saying that 4G would be at the end of it, whereas he's saying it would actually help to expand that and also possibly other technologies. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say that, because well, he actually makes a good point, that AT&T has spectrum problems, which we all know because their network is clogged, which is why they have, all these dropped calls and their data network isn't, the most reliable. There's people that say, well, they have spectrum that they're not using. I'm not entirely sure if that information has been backed up, so there's kind of like both sides of the argument right there, and you guys can fight it out in the comments. Feel free to do that. I'm trying. I said my piece. But I do want to comment on this because Free Press, which is, well, you can kind of guess what it is. Free Press. They fight against, monopoly and corruption and freedom of speech and all that. Well, they don't fight against freedom of speech. They fight for it. So they made these videos, and it's actually kind of funny because it's kind of mocking the T-Mobile commercials right now, where the girl Carly, and she's like, hey, I'm T-Mobile, and so those commercials with the white background. So they made their own commercials that are basically mocking that, and they have kind of the same setup. They have T-Mobile as one girl, and then AT&T as another girl, and it's kind of sarcasm. One commercial says that once the merger goes through, the bill prices are going to go way up. One of them refers back to the 80s when AT&T was a monopoly, and it was subsequently broken up after the government realized that they had created a monopoly. The government broke it up, which is an interesting factoid, I think. People mention that, like, hey, we don't want to go back to the 80s when it was a monopoly, and Mobile, what they called in the nickname, and they owned all these little companies, and they basically just owned the telecommunications world. We don't want to go back to that. But if you remember, it was the government who broke that up. So obviously, if it's not a good idea, the government is going to not approve of the merger. So I think we can kind of trust the right thing is going to happen. Whatever needs to happen. They also said that T-Mobile T-Mobile employees would get fired. Once, if it is a monopoly, they could do whatever they want, and they ended one of the commercials with, it's less choice without saving you any money. So people are very, very up in arms over this. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen people fight something so strongly, and it's funny because when it first came up, it seemed like a great idea. I was like, oh, this is great. It solves basically all of AT&T's problems, and then T-Mobile will get more network support and more customers. Like right now, they're small. They don't have a lot of subscribers, so now they can get the monetary needs that they require. When it first came up, I was like, hey, this is a great idea. And then people started fighting it, and it's gotten really, really strong. So, I don't know. You guys, of course, I already know how most of you feel. Most of you guys probably disagree with it. Why am I seeing hearts all in the comment section? I don't know. People just decided to leave hearts. I don't even know if you guys are on topic. No, you're not on topic. You're talking about something else. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, most people disagree with it, so... but a lot of drama. Senators that are against it, senators that are for it. Verizon's COO, he says that he thinks it's going to go through, and he's not really worried about it. AT&T says that they're confident that it's going to go through. So, I think it's kind of a lot of drama over nothing. I mean, I think in the end, if it does go through, I think we're probably going to forget about it within a year, but that's just me. So, moving on to the next topic. That one was kind of jumbled. I had a lot to talk about in that one. The next topic, we posted or Aaron posted, let me get it up on Ustream so you guys can see the topic. The myTouch 4G slide review. Aaron posted this review before he went on vacation. Aaron's on vacation, by the way, in case you guys are wondering. He posted this review. He filmed the review. If you watched it, you notice the time on the phone. He filmed the review at 3 o'clock in the morning. Which, I was like, wow, devotion. That's what it takes, devotion, to get the review up on time. And of course, he was going on vacation, so he had to make sure that he got it done. But anyway, so we do have our myTouch 4G slide review up. Also, Taylor has the myTouch 4G slide. He posted his first impressions article, and I'm assuming he'll have his written review up pretty soon, so you guys can also read that. I've watched the review. I've watched several other reviews. This phone is, I love phones with physical keyboards because I just feel more secure with a physical keyboard. I think a lot of times with virtual keyboards, it's a psychological thing. You know, I feel like it's not perfect. I mean, no virtual keyboard is perfect, whereas with a physical keyboard, it's buttons, and I'm pressing the buttons. So obviously, if I press the T, it's going to be T. And so, anyway, I feel better with physical keyboards. So I was pretty excited about this one. A dual-core processor, comes with the latest version of Android 2.3.4 and Sense 3.0. So this thing is way up to date. And it has one of the most advanced cameras on the market right now. And I'll go over just a couple of the features of the camera. It's an 8 megapixel camera, 8 megapixel camera, autofocus, and of course it has a flash. But it has one feature, HDR, which we all know from the iPhone, where it takes a lighter version of your picture and a darker version of the picture, and then it puts them together, which means you have a perfect balance and you get all the details. Great feature, it has that. It also has a burst shot feature, where something is happening quickly, like a lot of movement, you know. You snap a picture and it takes like 3 or 4 consecutive shots, and so you can pick out the right still image that you wanted whenever this action was happening. So kind of a, you know, nifty feature. Sweep shot panorama, zero shutter lag, which I think is one of the best for a camera in general, but especially a cell phone camera. You press the button and it takes the picture right when you press it. And then it also has these, a couple other features, but it also has auto scenes, and some of the scenes that it has are not just like, you know, sepia or black and white, or, you know, the basic ones that most cell phones have, but it has to kind of make it look like a vintage picture. And a lot of the features are what I see with Instagram. I think people post Instagram photos on Twitter all the time, which is actually kind of annoying to me, because I'm like, how many years did it take to advance to a point where cameras take good photos, and now we're intentionally making our cameras take terrible, outdated photos? But anyway, but now you don't have to download the Instagram app because it's right in your camera. Really nifty, I know. On the myTouch 4G slide, at least, that camera can do it. And then it has a portrait. Basically, it's a great camera, and I know Taylor is testing it out, and so I'm sure in his review will have lots of info on that. It has this custom version of HTC Sense. It's called the Espresso version. And, you know, a lot of people don't like it because, I don't know, I think for some people it may be too over the top. I mean, it's basically every visual aspect of Android is customized. The icons, it's kind of been toned down a little bit. I think the icons don't have the same border around them, but you have a custom dock, notification bar, the lock screen. A lot of this comes with HTC Sense, but a lot of customizations. I think for some people, it's just a little bit too over the top. I've heard some people say it's kind of similar to TouchWiz, a little too cartoonish. I personally love custom UIs. I know I've told you guys that. So, and this Espresso version or Espresso build of Sense is one of my favorites. And then also, on top of that, it's a 4G phone, obviously. Capable of 21.1 megabits per second. Now, obviously, you're not going to get 21.1 megabits per second downloads in the real world, but you're going to get pretty high speeds. Now, one thing that, you know, in watching the reviews and reading different reviews, I've heard people say that the keyboard actually isn't that great, and it's kind of funny because I've heard some people say that the keys are too soft and too mushy, and then I've heard some people say that the keys are too firm and too hard to press. So, you know, either way, it's not good. You know, people have said that it's a decent keyboard, but there's definitely better ones out there. I've actually heard numerous people say that the Droid 3 keyboard is better, and so we may have to do, I don't know if Aaron's going to do this, but we may do a dogfight with the myTouch 4G and the Droid 3 because, not a whole lot of Android phones out with a physical keyboard, and definitely not a lot of high-end, super phones out there with physical keyboards. So those two are the ones on top right now, so maybe we'll have that dogfight. But I'm anxious to see it. Obviously I haven't tested out yet because Aaron is the one that got the demo unit, and then Taylor also has one. So I haven't been able to use it, but like I said, I'm a fan of physical keyboards. But you guys can check out Aaron's review. It is on our YouTube channel. It's in 2 parts, so it goes in depth. And then Taylor will have his written review up on the site soon, I'm sure. No pressure, Taylor. But anyways, I don't even know if Taylor's here, but if you're watching, no pressure, Taylor. So along with that, another review that we have on the site that I did this week, Aaron did the myTouch 4G slide review. But I got up on the site this week my Motorola Triumph review, and I've had a ton of questions about this. I've had people ask me pretty much everything that you can imagine about the Motorola Triumph. It's popular. I think for the first time people can actually switch to a prepaid carrier, not only because it's cheaper, but also because they have a really good phone. And I think, it's only fair in this when we're talking about this, to also mention the Samsung Galaxy Indulge. I was about to say Samsung Galaxy S, but the Galaxy Indulge on Metro PCS. That is also a terrific phone, and it didn't get as much support, I don't think. Maybe because the price tag, maybe because it's on Metro PCS, but that also is an amazing phone. It's a 4G phone, 1 GHz Hummingbird processor, a beautiful display, not super LCD, but still a great display. So if you're on Metro PCS, don't think that you have to switch to Virgin Mobile to get the Motorola Triumph, because you also have the Indulge for the same price. Right now they're both $300, but the Indulge is a 4G phone. So, but anyway, the Motorola Triumph, and it's a great phone. I have it right here. Let me reach back and get it. I believe the battery is dead, or maybe I've just turned it off. Let me see if there's still some juice in it. Whenever I got the phone, I was just as excited about it as anybody because, I very much support the prepaid revolution. I think it's great. I never thought it was fair that, prepaid carriers got such a bad rap from people because, they have great service, great prices, and decent phones, and now they're getting even better phones. So I was very excited about the Motorola Triumph, and when I tested it out, it was good. It was a great phone. The 1 GHz processor, for the most part, did a great job. The camera was pretty good, but there were some definite negatives. If you've watched the review, or if you've not watched the review, I'll just kind of summarize a couple of them. The screen was sometimes unresponsive. I've heard some people say that there's kind of a secret screen protector, like after you take off the initial screen protector, that there's another one on it, and that some people have taken it off, and it improves the response. I'm just going off of the experience that you get out of the box, because not everyone's going to know that there's a secret screen protector. So it was somewhat unresponsive. Also, the camera, it does capture HD video, 720p HD video, but the quality wasn't very good. It was very blurry. Whenever I would pan around, it got very choppy and very blurry. The sound wasn't that good. The 3G speeds were kind of slow, which is to be expected. That's not the phone's fault. That's just Virgin Mobile. The speeds were kind of slow. So it wasn't perfect. I think it was adequate, and it's definitely the best phone on Virgin Mobile, and I would definitely recommend it. But it wasn't perfect. And whenever I did my review, there were so many comments from people saying that I was so negative, that I was bashing the phone, that I was being biased, that I was only saying all those negative things because it was a prepaid phone, and that I wasn't being reasonable. There were so many people saying that, and it kind of bothered me, but it also made me laugh, because I'm like, okay, so how many of you have actually used the phone? None. I have, so you can trust my opinion. I'm not being biased. Trust me, I wanted this phone to be awesome, and after testing it out, it was great, but there were some definite negatives about it. So if you guys watched that video and you felt the same way, trust me, I was being honest. I want to let you know about the pros and the cons. That's what a review is for, not just tell you about the good things, but tell you about the bad things too. So I got a lot of flack for that, but you know, it's alright, it's a review. What am I going to do? I can't change the phone. But anyway, so just a couple of comments from the review, like I said, kind of some problems with the responsiveness. But overall, it was pretty good. I mean, there was the occasional lag here and there. There were a couple of times when things would hang. But really, the processor did pretty good. Now, the price is $300. You know, I've had people ask, is it worth it to pay $300 or should I wait for something else? I don't know if you should wait for something else because I don't think we currently know of any better phones coming to Virgin Mobile. If so, it's going to be a few months. So it's not worth it to wait. Now, is it worth the $300? You know, the Optimus V, which would be kind of like the second step down from the Motorola Triumph, the Optimus V is the Optimus Black. That's just a rumor, and we really have no idea if that's actually coming to Virgin Mobile. The Optimus V is a great phone. I know it's a mid-range phone, but I tested it out, and it was great. Little to no lag. You know, great performance, and so because of that, I would say maybe stay with the Optimus V unless you just have $300 and you're not going to be breaking the bank. If that's the case, then go ahead and go for the Motorola Triumph. But if you're kind of tight on money, if you're not sure, if you're kind of be making a stretch, if you think this is like a great replacement to an iPhone, you know, don't do that. If you're kind of tight on money, I would stay with the Optimus V because I think it's also a great phone, even though it's a mid-range phone. So that's what I would say. I've had people ask me about that, but it's a good start. I think, yeah, the Samsung Galaxy Indulge on Metro PCS with similar specs and on a 4G network. Now we have the Motorola Triumph. There's rumors of a couple of other phones coming to Metro PCS or Virgin Mobile, and so it kind of seems like they're really starting to pick up the pace and get better and better phones, and so it's exciting. I know a lot of people have switched to prepaid carriers simply for the price, but now you have an even better reason because they actually have some pretty good phones. So check out the Motorola Triumph review and it goes into a lot more detail. Also, two-part video on our YouTube channel, and then I also have my written review up on the site if you want to check that out. Oops. Okay, so moving right along, let me change the topic. Why would you do that to me? Ustream. Paste. There we go. Next topic. Recently, Nokia released or posted their Q2 numbers, and they're pretty terrible. I'll just go over a quick, a few numbers, a few comparisons. Net sales of mobile devices, of phones, are down 23% from last year. They're down 20% compared to Q2 of last year. They posted a net loss of 368 million euros, which is about $520 million. So they lost a lot of money. And last year, in the same quarter, they posted a profit of 227 million. So they went from getting a profit of 227 million to this quarter, 1 year later, they lost 368 million. So that's just terrible numbers. Nokia only sold 16.7 million Symbian smartphones, which is down 31% from Q2 last year. So basically everything is down, and not just a little bit down, but down by 20%, 30%, millions lost. It's not looking good. Now the upside is that they are partnering with Microsoft. They will be releasing Windows Phone 7 devices, hopefully by the end of this year. And so they haven't released those phones yet, and so the numbers obviously aren't going to reflect the benefits of that partnership. But I think it will. I think there will be benefits to that. It certainly couldn't be worse, that's for sure. But on that note, once Nokia posted all of their numbers, it became clear that Apple took over the number one spot as a smartphone maker worldwide. For a long time, Apple was number one in several categories, but they could never take over that number one spot of smartphone maker. Nokia, and it was amazing to all of us in the US. It was like, how is Nokia still number one? But they're still pretty popular overseas. But now, because of all these losses, Apple is now the number one smartphone maker. And this is from IDC Worldwide Mobile Phone Tracker. These are the numbers. Nokia shipped 24.2 million smartphones versus 18.7 million iPhones last quarter. This quarter, Nokia only shipped 16.7 million, as I mentioned earlier, and Apple shipped 20.3 million iPhones. So Apple has taken over. And listen to this number. That 20.3 million iPhones that Apple shipped, that is a 142% growth from quarter two of last year. And that's amazing. I mean, and this is with the iPhone 4, which is, yeah, one of the best iPhones to date, but the iPhone 3GS wasn't too shabby. The 3G was pretty amazing, and the iPhone itself was pretty good. So to take, 3GS, still an amazing phone that changed a lot, but even since then, 142% growth from last year quarter two. That is amazing. I don't know how they did it. I'm going to have to take a drink. I'm sorry, guys. It's just water, don't worry. I know it's kind of distracting, but I'm talking for an hour, and so I have to take a drink every once in a while. So that's pretty amazing. Apple took over the number one spot as a smartphone maker. And I want to move on to another number, and then we'll get back to Apple being number one. So we also have some numbers for the tablet market. Okay, and I have a chart that I can show you guys. So research firm Strategy Analytics, they've done a study. June quarter tablet shipments were about 15 million units. That's every tablet. That's iOS, Android, WebOS, whatever tablet OS out there. That's every tablet. 15 million tablets shipped, which is a 331% increase over last year, which is pretty amazing, but also kind of expected. We knew the tablet market was exploding. Apple took the number one spot with 9.25 million iPads. They had a 61% share of the market. Android, now this is interesting. Android went from a 2.9 market share in June of last year to a 30.1% market share in June of this year. So 27% increase, which again expected. I mean, last year there weren't any Android tablets. I mean, no official Android tablets, so kind of expected. But now, last year Apple had a 94% share of the tablet market. Now they only have a 61. That's right, I said 61. 61%. So big drop there, kind of starting to even out. I think it's kind of interesting that it dropped that quickly. Okay, but still, even with that, Apple is still number one. So I want to give you guys some food for thought, and then I'm going to relate it back to something that we talked about earlier. Okay, so Apple is still the number one, has a number one share in the tablet market, and also is number one tablet maker. Okay, they're also the number one music retailer with iTunes. Apple is also the number one mobile PC vendor as of February of this year. Apple is also the number one PC manufacturer, if you include iPads, as of April of this year. And now they're the number one smartphone maker as of right now. So 5 things. Number one music retailer, number one mobile PC, number one PC manufacturer, number one smartphone maker. There's talks of them taking over as the number one just brand in general. And I'm thinking of all of this, number one in everything, and then people are talking about AT&T being a monopoly. I mean, I understand you have other options like with Android, but I mean, for the most part, Apple dominates the market, and people are fighting against, AT&T taking over the world. And I'm just like, no one else have thought of Apple taking over the world? I mean, that doesn't, the numbers don't bother you at all. So I don't know. That's me. I think Apple has a more loyal market than AT&T, so maybe that's why there's such the difference in feelings about it. But I thought that was interesting. Apple has done a great job with marketing their brand. Apple will have to up their game a lot. This is a comment from Ustream, by the way. Apple will have to up their game a lot to just stay afloat in this market where the most hardcore Apple fan has to agree that Android is taking over. Yeah, that's true. Android is definitely gaining ground. And you know what's funny, talking about Apple and all these numbers and Apple taking over the world, I try really hard to be unbiased because I have to, because it's my job. And I think I try so hard to be unbiased that people think I'm an Apple fangirl. I have so many people accusing me of that, and I'm just like, gosh, if you only knew. I'm just trying to be honest and be unbiased, but I get accused of that a lot. Anyway, but that's interesting. I mean, Apple is, I think, really, I mean, definitely the dominant brand. Android is gaining ground, that's for sure, and Apple is going to have to step up their game. But definitely Apple, you could say, is taking over the world. So I'll let you guys, again, fight that out in the comments section. I know there's going to be some loyal Apple fanboys and Android fanboys, and so you can decide which is the better brand or has the better phone. But on to extras. These are just some little tidbits that I wanted to share with you guys. Lenovo announced their IdeaPak. I kept wanting to say IdeaPak, which is like Sprint ID. The Lenovo IdeaPak K1. I have a picture of it so you can see what it looks like. Here it is, the IdeaPak. Has a 10.1-inch display, ships with Android 3.1. This is the first Netflix certified Android tablet. So if you're wondering why your Android tablet doesn't have Netflix yet, it's because Lenovo fought really hard to make sure that they were the only ones to ship with Netflix support. So it's the first Netflix certified tablet. It has 1 gig of RAM, a 5-megapixel rear-facing camera, a front-facing camera. Here's a picture of the back. You can see the camera there. And an NVIDIA Tegra 2 dual-core processor. Now, there's a couple of things that Lenovo has added. They call it a custom skin, but it's not really a custom skin. It's more just like this widget that goes in the middle of the screen that you can see there, the 4 shortcuts, and then in the middle is the globe, which obviously stands for the web browser. You can customize those, you can change them, but you can't really rearrange or modify the look of it. It's just that design, that widget. So that's kind of one minor customization. Lenovo also pre-installed, and yay, they're really proud of this. I don't know why. They pre-installed over 30 apps. Over 30 pre-installed apps. And I'm just like, seriously? You're proud of that? That's like my worst nightmare. A device that comes with 30 pre-installed apps? Are you kidding me? I mean, granted, some of them are ones that I would use, like YouTube or games. But you know, it's like, can I delete the ones that I don't want? Typically you can't, so I'm kind of worried about that. It's coming in July, at least I think that's what they said, July, and the 32 gigabyte version is going for $499, which is very competitive pricing to go against the iPad. Will anyone buy it? I don't know. Lenovo isn't really a well-known brand. And there's so many honeycomb tablets out there. I don't know. We'll have to see how it does. I personally, I don't really like it. But you know, actually, and this is kind of a side note, I've used honeycomb, and I don't really like it. Yeah, I've decided, for a while I was on the fence. And I think the only reason I was on the fence is because I enjoy Android. And so I was like, well, naturally I'm going to like the tablet version of Android. But it turns out that I just don't. I just don't like honeycomb. I think it's like a beta version. Very unorganized. I think you have these tiny icons and tiny widgets for this huge display. So it either looks cluttered, empty, or just a mess. Like a hot mess, you know. And I don't like the transitions and the widgets. I don't like the multitasking thing. And I'm not trying to bash Android. Honestly, I love Android on phones, even though I'm getting a little tired of it. But I think it's one of the best operating systems out there. But I just don't like honeycomb, so that's my thing. But anyway, moving on. Don't need to go on a rant about that. Galaxy S2, and I've had a lot of people ask me about this. When is the Galaxy S2 coming to the US? Trust me, I've been anticipating it just as much as you have. So this is from Samsung, the president of Samsung's mobile business, and his name is Shin Jong-kyun. Hopefully I pronounced that right. He said that the Galaxy S2 will be coming to the States, wait for it, sometime in August, which is next month. He didn't give any specifics. He didn't give a date. He didn't give a carrier. He didn't say if all the carriers are getting them in August, or if one carrier is getting it in August, or what. But at least we know that at least one Galaxy S2 phone is coming to the United States in August. So rejoice! Yes, I know. I'm excited about it. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I'm still excited about it. The Galaxy S was one of my favorite phones ever, so I'm excited about that. Also, more phone releases. AT&T finally got the Nexus S. Coincidentally, it's not the Nexus S 4G, it's just the Nexus S. It seems kind of late. I mean, Google made it pretty clear that they're going to release their next Nexus phone with the latest version of Android in the holidays, so in theoretically 4 months. So it seems kind of late for AT&T to be getting the Nexus S. You kind of wonder why they even bother. But, they have it. So if you're on AT&T, check it out. Coming July 24th for $99, which is probably the best part. And I think very smart for AT&T. They easily could have put it at $199 because that's the typical price for smartphones. Putting it at $99, great. They understand that it's kind of old. And so I think that's definitely a smart move for them, and it's coming to Best Buy and Best Buy Mobile exclusively, so you have to pre-order it and check it out there. And lastly, I do want to keep everything even with some Windows Phone 7 news. I try to keep it, not all Android or not all iOS. We did get a leaked video of the Nokia Sea Ray, and this is the first Windows Phone 7 device by Nokia, and it is also a Mango device, I believe. So I don't know if they're still going to be calling it Windows Phone 7, or if it will be like Windows Phone 7.5 or 7.1. We haven't really got confirmation on that. Here's just a quick picture. It looks basically exactly like the Nokia N9, except a few minor differences. There is a dedicated camera button, and then of course, as you can see, it has the Windows Phone, selection buttons down there at the bottom. But for the most part, it looks a lot like the Nokia N9. You can watch the video and kind of get a more, detailed overview of the physical aspects of the phone. But that's pretty exciting. I think, I've actually thought about switching to Windows Phone 7 myself because, like I said, I'm kind of getting tired of Android. Not because it's bad, just because I've been using it for so long. So I don't know, I might... Nokia makes some freaking hot hardware, and so we'll have, I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to see, maybe which carrier it goes to, or, kind of see the specs. We really don't know a whole lot about the specs, but there it is, the Nokia Sea Ray, and you can watch the video. I think we have the video on PhoneDog, but I'm not sure. So that's the last topic, and now it is open Q&A time. So if you're on Ustream, leave your comments. If you're on Facebook, leave your comments. I'll be checking that as well. If you're on YouTube, leave your comments, and I'll be reading the comments. A lot of comments there. I'll be reading the comments. So leave your question, and I'll try to answer the ones that I can. Or you can just leave your comment telling me, that you think the stream is too long, even though you really don't have to watch the entire thing. But anyway, so let's go over to Ustream and see what the questions are. Nexus Prime. I don't think we have any updates on that. I can tell you what we already know, but we don't have any updates. Where'd it go? Nexus Prime. Control F. Nexus Prime. Oh, there we go. Samsung Nexus Prime. Supposedly coming Thanksgiving. We'll have a Super AMOLED HD display, supposedly a monster-sized display. No physical keys. A dual-core 1.2 or 1.5 gigahertz processor, 5 megapixel camera with an advanced 5 megapixel camera, 4G phone, and of course ice cream sandwich. That's all we know for now. So, when is the G2X review? I believe we've already done a G2X review. Let's make different size squares and make them available in different colors. We'd be so innovative. Okay. Could you please tell me all you know about the LG Bryce? Yeah, the LG Bryce is the LG Revolution. It's the LG Revolution coming to Metro PCS, so it's basically the same thing. 4G, 4.3-inch display, 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor, and a 5 megapixel camera, except the Metro PCS version will supposedly be shipping with Android 2.3.4. So basically, take a look at the LG Revolution, and that's the LG Bryce. No, G2X update. Oh, that's what you were wondering. Okay, maybe that was my fault. Maybe I misread it. G2X update. Okay, you can actually download the G2X update right now. It's not over the air, but you can get it from LG. It's the official update. It's not, a leaked version. It's the official update. You can get it from LG. You have to download it and connect your phone to your computer, but you can get it from LG. But they said the over-the-air update should be coming by summer. I tweeted that it's already summer, so I don't know if they got some confusion on what by summer actually means, but that's what they said. But you can actually download the official update now. Okay, let me check Facebook really quick just before I forget. What do you think of the Windows 8 tablets? Is it too late for Microsoft? No, I don't think it's too late for Microsoft. As long as the tablet market is still around, anybody can come out with a tablet. I mean, it's like when a company comes out with a new computer for the first time, it's not too late. I mean, but what do I think of them? I think Microsoft's approach to tablets is a little bit off. They see tablets as still like portable PCs. In a way, yeah, they are, but I think they may be trying to cram too much into a tablet. But that's just the impression I've got from what they've said. I could be wrong about that. Okay. Oh well, AT&T still doesn't have 4G, or do they? Well, it depends on who you talk to. According to, certain organizations and AT&T, yes, it's a 4G network, but it's kind of similar to the battle with like LTE and HSPA Plus. Are those really 4G networks? So it's kind of similar to that. But if you want to just say straight out LTE, HSPA Plus, AT&T, yes, they do have a 4G network. Okay, Nexus 1, Windows Phone 7, boot for the US being so late, Shutter, Windows Phone 7 phones. Oh my gosh, I am so behind. Wow. How do I get so behind? And you guys are so patient. Thanks. Okay. What do you think Sprint's big 4G announcement will be? Either a phone or probably switching to LTE. Right now they're WiMAX, which is, kind of proprietary. And I think eventually they'll switch to LTE, and so it could be that. One of my purchase apps shows up as not installed in the market, and when you search for a specific app, you still can't filter your results. Lame, lame, lame. Okay. 3.5G, I have that already. Sorry, we're just too fast. How about that new Apple Lion? Yeah, I thought about talking about it, but then I was like, nah, it's not cell phones. Galaxy Tab 10.1 3G, will it have GSM voice calls? I'm not sure about that. Let me see, info on when it will be coming out. We heard that the LTE Verizon version will be coming July 28th. That's a rumor. So, what do you think about the New Market? I actually really like it. I've downloaded the New Market. I got the APK from online. Somebody posted it. If you haven't seen the New Market, which you probably have, you could easily Google it. I like it. I love it. The first time I saw it, I was like, it's kind of disorganized with all those tiles and stuff. I don't really know if I like it. But when you use it, it actually does make sense. If you just look at it, then it seems kind of confusing. But when you actually use it, it makes perfect sense, and it's great. My favorite thing about the New Market, whenever I uninstall an app, it doesn't ask me why I want to uninstall it. I always hated that because I'm like, I just want to uninstall it. Okay, I don't know, because I don't want it. It malfunctions. Don't ask. I just want to uninstall it. And so that's one of my favorite new things. I know that's a minor thing, but okay, just wait for the lawsuit. How many phones do you have in your office? Okay, how many question marks is that? That's a lot of question marks. I think one would have shown me that you were asking a question. Besides the how, that also lets me know it's a question. How many phones? Actually, you know, on that note, I just got the HTC status. Aaron did the unboxing of this, and then he went on vacation, and so he didn't have time to do the review. So I just got the HTC status today. I should have my first impressions article up tomorrow, and then I'll have my video review up next week, you know, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'm actually kind of excited about that. I'll give you guys, so you can see it, and you do that, and you have, it's kind of interesting because, whoops, that's the weather. You can only have one widget per page, so you can see I have one widget, and then one widget. So, I don't know, that's kind of, it's a small screen, so I understand that's basically the only way you could do it. And I also think it's interesting that they found a way to stretch out other widgets. So normally this Slacker widget is not that long, but in order to make it fit and fill the whole screen, they made it stretch out, which I'm like, why couldn't Samsung do that with the Samsung Galaxy Tab, the original one? That, you know, remember it was too big, and so widgets, you'd have like an extra block on the side of a widget because it didn't take up the whole screen. I'm like, why couldn't Samsung do that with their tablet? But anyway, did the myTouch 4G slide problem ever get fixed from the review? I'm not sure. Yeah, I know you can download a launcher to extend them. I know you can do that, but just out of the box, you know. Okay, let me go back to the to Facebook and see if there's any more questions. What's your favorite phone as of right now, and which one are you most excited about? My favorite phone right now, and by the way, there's 8 minutes left, so keep that in mind. I try to keep the stream to an hour just so it doesn't drag on forever. My favorite phone right now, you know, it might be the myTouch 4G slide, but I'm also going to put in there the Sensation. I like custom UIs, so, but you know, if I had to go just based on any phone, even the ones that aren't in the US yet, I would say the Samsung Galaxy S2. That's probably my favorite right now. I have the myTouch 4G slide right now. Okay. Do you like stock Gingerbread? No, not really. I don't really like stock Android. Gingerbread is better. It's a little more color, a little more design to it. But no, not really. I like custom UIs. ADW is great, but VTI is even greater. Galaxy Tab 10.13G. I think I already answered that. Stewie. Should I upgrade to the Sidekick 4G or the myTouch 4G slide if I want a good keyboard, but I also want to be able to support Android ice cream sandwich? You know, I had the myTouch 4G slide. I think I still have it. Yeah, I still have it. I have our demo unit. Between the two, in terms of the keyboard, I'm not sure. I know that the Sidekick 4G has an excellent keyboard. However, the UI on the Sidekick is not very well thought out. I mean, it's basically meant to be used in landscape mode, but you know, there's some apps that can't be used in landscape mode, and then like on the home screen, when you have it in portrait mode, let me show you. I'll give you an example. So with this, okay, so like here you have on the Sidekick, it has the words right here, like home, menu, and all that, the words. And when it's in portrait mode, you can read them just fine. When you put it in landscape mode, they still stay as if they were in portrait mode. So it's like sideways, and you can't really read it, which is kind of annoying since, you know, the way that these home, menu, back, and search, these are set up as if you were in portrait mode. So in landscape mode, so in portrait mode, these buttons, they're all like sideways and backwards, but this is all correct. Whereas in landscape mode, the menu buttons are right, but this is all sideways. So the UI is kind of not very well thought out. I thought the keyboard was excellent, but just overall, I don't know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I would recommend going with the myTouch 4G slide. I know that was a long way of saying it. And also, it would be easier if I had the Sidekick out right now. But that's what I would say. I think the implementation of the UI on the Sidekick, they just didn't do it really well. If you could build your own dream phone, you know, I get asked that a lot. And while you ask me, I want to know why do you ask that? I mean, I don't mind. I think it's a fine question, but I get asked that so much, and I don't understand why. I mean, why are people so interested in that? Because they're curious. What a great combo, thanks. HTC with Super AMOLED Plus. I wrote about my dream phone. Oh, Casper Knows Best. Is that you, Taylor? Are you Casper Knows Best? That's a different screen name. I'm used to the PD Casper. Because of Taylor's article, we're weird like that. So you're just curious. Okay. Well, I've answered it before. I think it would be... You know, I used to say Android, but I'm kind of getting tired of Android. I still think it's a great operating system, but I've been using it for so long, so I'm kind of tired of it. So maybe like a Windows Phone 7, but with more customization. Windows Phone 7 with more customization, hardware made by either Nokia or HTC. Certainly not Motorola. I hate Motorola hardware. And then, what else? What else did you want to know? Obviously, you have a dual-core processor, camera. Yeah, really great camera. No front-facing camera. I never used that. And then, hopefully, a physical keyboard. But you know, I tweeted about this this week. Yesterday, actually. Amazon's free app of the day. You know, Amazon has an app store. And their free app of the day was SwiftKey X. It's normally $4, but it was free yesterday. And so I was like, hey, I might download that. You know, it's free just to kind of try it out. I hear people talking about it sometimes. And so I downloaded it. And that keyboard is like off the chisane. It is freaking awesome. It's like the best keyboard. I mean, the best virtual keyboard I have ever used. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it better than the iPhone, better than the Android keyboard, better than the Gingerbread keyboard. It's the best virtual keyboard I've ever used. I first got it, I set it up, I downloaded it, I got everything set up. I typed out 2 quick sentences, didn't really pay attention, I just wanted to see what it could do. Just typed it out fast, no mistakes. And I was just like, mind blown. That's what it was. It was just like, dude. So if you haven't downloaded the SwiftKey keyboard, it's not free anymore. It's back to $4, but it's worth the $4. So now that I've used that, I don't even know if I need a physical keyboard. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Okay. This happened to my friend because she uses that keyboard. I love Amazon App Store. I was just like, dude, I know. And I tweeted. I was tweeting about it. And I was just like, dude. I mean, that's all I can say. It's just, dude, this is awesome. And anyway, SwiftKey X, download it. Best virtual keyboard. I don't see how I ever got by with any other virtual keyboard. After using that, it's like, how did I ever not use this? This is amazing. The prediction is amazing. I don't really use prediction very much. For me, the biggest thing is autocorrect. Because I just like typing fast. I don't like having to pay attention to, is it predicting the right word? Oh yeah, that's the word I want. I don't like doing all that. I just want to type and then let the autocorrect do its job. And it does. Okay, let me go over to Facebook, see if I've missed any questions. How long do online deals on Verizon last? Because I really want the Xperia Play. I'm not sure. I really don't know. Thanks for answering my questions. Did I answer them, or are you being sarcastic? I did answer them. Okay, good. You're welcome. Have you set that up? Set what up? I've had SwiftKey for over a year. Am I behind? I am a little bit behind. Okay. and it's awesome. The dude effect is instant. Swift Key X, I'm watching you on Triumph. Oh, cool. I should try it. It learns from your Gmail. Oh, yeah, I set that up. I set it up for all of it. Well, except for Facebook, because I don't really use Facebook. But I set it up for Gmail, Twitter, and my text messages to learn by that. And maybe that's what it did. But really, even from the first time, it was like amazing. So it's 5 o'clock, guys. Hopefully I answered enough questions. I know I got kind of sidetracked there towards the end. Fun fact, I used to think that sidetracked was pronounced sidetracted. And here was my logic. Distracted. Same spelling, basically. Distracted, sidetracked. Very similar, but it's not sidetracted, it's sidetracked. Yeah, fun fact. Okay, so thanks guys for coming. Hopefully I answered enough questions. If I didn't, I'm really sorry. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any requested topics or tips, you know, whatever, you can send me a message on Twitter. My screen name is It's My Job to Know. And I usually check my @ replies, except for on the weekends, or like if you send me a message after 9 or 10, or if you send me a message at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to respond to it, so please don't send it 3 times. I'm not going to name any names. Thanks guys for watching. Also on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment, and check out PhoneDog.com for more news, updates, and reviews. And I'll see you guys later. Get ready for the abrupt ending. Bye.